While you're grieving and coping, there is, like I had just said, a range of emotions that you go through. And a lot of them are very negative, and it's easy to get caught up in. It's confusion, anger, jealousy. You have an idea that you're a failure and you have no self-worth. You criticize yourself. You just feel like you have no control over your day, over your week, over the year. Just feel like nothing is in your control. And what I want you to understand is there are days you feel like that, and you just have to, for myself, I submerged myself in those feelings, and I would slowly start using pads of paper and just writing down how I was feeling, and I would slowly start to diagnose why I was feeling that way, and I would start to notice patterns and what triggered what emotions. And so that's kind of what I have you doing right now with these notepads. Just sort of thinking about things that I feel are very common for most people to think about, but I'm bringing it to the forefront of your mind. So now, for example, if say you put mayonnaise on my turkey club, I would flip out and yell at the waitress or something, and then I would be disappointed at myself for overreacting over mayonnaise on a turkey club. And I would go home and I wrote how I felt about that, and I'm able to, now next time somebody put mayonnaise on my turkey club, I would think about the entry I wrote in my notebook, or that little blurb I wrote, and I'd be able to see the words and feel the words. And it was just one way for me to start moving forward and learning a little bit about myself and learning how to have that control in my everyday life over my emotions, and to realize I have value and I'm not a failure, and I don't have to always criticize myself, and I can have bad days and I can still love myself even though everything might not seem like it's going exactly as planned. Because I feel like when you get caught in that wheel of just nothing feels like it's going your way, you're trying to fight that feeling of disorder by seeking the order that you once had. And while you're grieving and you experience loss of a loved one, or loss of a friend, or even loss of a pet or a gerbil, you try to look for that order you once had in a previous life, and unfortunately due to circumstances, that order has changed now, and your perception of everything has changed. And so I just want you to start realizing more about yourself, so you can go out there and you can live a happy life, and you can understand that you will have bad days, and have a way that put words to it, and give yourself an outlet instead of being hard on yourself for not being out there and doing more, maybe sitting on the couch and just vegging out. You'll be able to understand more about yourself. And now I'd like to ask you another question that you can write down. Do you feel like you control your own emotions? This is a two-part one again. Give you like 30 seconds. Do you feel like you control your emotions? I see a few eyes looking at me. I don't want to rush you if I'm going too fast. I just have one other question. What is one emotion you wish to never feel again? You can just list it, or... I want to keep going on while you're writing. There's no rush. One thing I realized through the stages of grieving that I went through for myself was I became an entrepreneur of my emotions. And everyone knows what an entrepreneur is in here? All right, so basically through trial and error, I learned what worked for me, how for emotion-wise. I'll give you an example. After my father passed away, I would have issues where I would just break down and cry in public, and then I would be hard on myself for allowing myself to cry and people see me crying, and I would feel like I was weak. I felt like I had no control over myself, and I felt like I was so absorbed into this emotion of being able to get upset and cry that I thought I was going to be in this stage for the rest of my life, which isn't true. There is no time frame, and there is no rush to get over any one stage. But for me to be able to function, I had to find some way to resolve that. And through trial and error, I discovered by me wearing sunglasses, I would wear sunglasses inside, at night. I looked like a fool just walking around with sunglasses 24 hours, but it made me comfortable because it made me realize I could cry wherever I wanted to, and even though you could see my red cheeks and the tears running down, in my mind that was a safety for me. So I solved the issue of me facing that dilemma of being hard on myself and judging myself and thinking something was wrong with me because I was crying a year after my father passed away, and others had seemed to move on if they were in a similar situation. And it was easy for me to get caught up in the idea that there was something wrong with me and I needed to fix it, when you don't need to fix yourself at all. You need to learn about yourself and push forward and discover yourself and really learn to love yourself. So another thing about learning yourself, as much as you have to learn about the inside of you and what makes you tick, and your environment is also a huge contributing factor to your grieving process. And you have to be very careful, I've discovered, of your surroundings. I'm talking about the people whose company you keep, music, movies. I once walked out of Ratatouille and Transformers. I was in the movie theater, I paid $14 or however much it was to see it. And while I was in the theater, something in that brought something up in me. And I just stood up and walked out. My friends didn't understand, and if you ask me now what that feeling I felt was, I couldn't tell you for $1,000,000. But I was aware of my surroundings, and I knew sitting in that movie theater, feeling that way, that turmoil, that stress, that anxiety, wasn't helping me at all. I needed to isolate the situation, and I had to take control of my surroundings and realize that this was causing me to be anxious, this was causing me to miss my family more, and by me trying to push through it and be tough to go through it, I wasn't proving anything. I was just hurting myself more, and I felt I was stronger and able to move on by actually standing up and walking out and acknowledging what my body was telling me and what I was feeling. So I just wanted to let you know that while you're grieving and coping, there are so many moments that you have to worry about. You have to take care of yourself, and then there's the outside you have to take care of and worry about. And there are those moments of unexpected grief, where you see somebody that's walking down the street and it reminds you of somebody, or you see a dog and it reminds you of your dog, not around anymore. You can't control these, and the reason I'm focusing and want you to focus so much on learning you and loving you and knowing who you are is so when these moments of unexpected grief sneak up and attack you by surprise, which they will many, many times, they still 9 years later creep into my daily life. But because I know myself and I know what the feeling of unexpected grief feels like, and I know how to handle myself now when I'm faced with this situation, I'm able to confront it differently and take a more head-on approach and not necessarily run and hide, and I'm able to, like I said, confront my emotions. Because I feel like a lot of people, while grieving, they push away their issues and they bear it away. Maybe it's with partying or just pushing away and being with the friends and never going home. Or I just don't want you to push your issues away. I want you to be in love with yourself and know how you work. So years later, you are very healthy and happy, and you will still cry and miss your loved ones, but you know that you have control over how you feel, and you know that when you feel this way, you should be happy that you can still feel that, and you're not ashamed of feeling that way. You're not running away from something, you're embracing it. And as I had just mentioned, a common misconception with grieving and coping is that there is a time frame. By month 6, you should feel this way. By year 1, you should be done crying. There are people I know out there that have lost their parents and loved ones, and they have their life broken down on a time frame. And that makes me sad, because you're rushing something that's so natural, and I don't want you to be out there putting a time frame on your grieving process or on your emotions, because you're not helping anybody or yourself by trying to push it away and work past it and have these goals set up. You cry when you have to cry, you get angry, but you have to understand where these come from so then you can control it. I just don't want you to think that there's charts out there or a book to read or an article to read that will tell you how to feel at this certain time, because no one else can tell you how to feel. Only you can do that. I view grieving like snowflakes. Every one snowflake is different, and you are all so unique and so different, so you have to find that and harness that uniqueness and bring it out, and just make sure that you don't listen to other people when they tell you you should be feeling better and move on, and it's been a year, so you shouldn't be crying anymore. because it hurts and you feel like something's wrong with you when someone tries to push you along or tell you to move on. The next question is, what are you jealous of? This could be socially, it could be anything in your life. A lot of eyes. I'm going to keep going. If you're writing, please don't stop writing. I find there to be some common themes and common emotions involved, at least from my experience while grieving. Some of them were anger, guilt, jealousy, and all of these you could list with the confusion. It's all very overwhelming at first while you're grieving and you have all these different emotions pulling you every which way. I'm not sure if anyone here can relate to that, and you want to be happy, you know you should be happy, but you just feel so blah. And I just want you to know that, like, as you get to know yourself, you will slowly deconstruct yourself with these notepads as I have you writing in. And as you deconstruct yourself, you'll slowly, as I've been saying, isolate an emotion and understand the meaning behind that and what triggers that in you, so thus giving you more power over you and more power over your emotions and making you more confident and making you more aware of yourself. And as I've said many times, this is a your eyes only list. These are for you to take home. And what I do with my notebook as well is I make a lot of lists, because you have to do the daily battles. What I'm giving you, I'm talking about long-term techniques, but you also have to do, I feel, short-term techniques to make yourself have that value of self-worth and make yourself feel like you have hope to get out of this funk you're in. And one great technique that I've discovered that worked for myself, and hopefully one day you'll try it, was to make a to-do list. It could be as silly as make a grilled cheese and watch Seinfeld, or it could be as detailed as do this homework, do that homework, drop off the laundry. It's your own list, but I find the beauty of a to-do list is you get to check off what you've done as you go. And say if you love vegging out and being lazy and just sitting on the couch, maybe when you start your day, you know that you're going to just sit on the couch and you have these goals in your head. Because how many people eat something and say, I'm going to go to the gym after I eat this because I'm going to feel like not very healthy, or you tell yourself you're going to do something and then you never actually follow through with doing it. I feel like a to-do list when you wake up in the morning, or maybe before you go to bed, you have that mental list in your head. So as the day goes on, you complete it, you have that objective to get that list checked off as fast as possible. So you earn being lazy, you earn what you want to do, and you earn the activities that you enjoy. And you also gain value in your life and your self-worth, and you feel like you've accomplished something because you have. You've accomplished moving forward and learning something about yourself and being able to sit down. It's all part of the deconstructing yourself to learn and love yourself. And also, hopefully, as we continue, you'll keep using the notebooks, not just in this class, but as the week and months keep going by, maybe just once a week or something, because I feel there's no points in keeping everything in your head jumbled around. I feel like it's so much more helpful to have it on the paper and see the words and feel the words. So as I keep saying, these are yours and